Hello and welcome to you wherever you are watching this. I hope you're having a great day and I hope you're ready to learn a lot. My name is Thomas Grimes. You can see me pictured there with my wife. Beside us are our two children. I'm an alum of NCSSM, NC State, and East Carolina University. I started my career as a 612 CTE teacher, specifically engineering and STEM, with some Adobe, Microsoft Personal Finance as I was instructed to teach. Then I moved out of the classroom and became a district level technician. After that, I've transitioned and I am currently a district instructional technology facilitator for Hereford County Public Schools. That's a little bit about me, and this background is going to be really part of my story, and you'll hear that shortly. So here you can see our alignment to the new digital learning competencies. Remember, these are the ISTE standards. So you'll find a lot of resources on ISTE standards since North Carolina has adopted those standards as their digital learning competencies. Is really going to support you and your learning. So as a intro thought, I want you to remember one of these two things, or both. I want you to think back to a moment in your own educational journey where you felt like a major connection was being made between topics. What was happening? What made it so impactful that you're remembering it now? I also want you to think back to a classroom assignment where it didn't feel like teaching was a burden, where it felt more like a symphony of subjects rather than you just standing at the front of the room doing a solo act. Think about what was happening. Why was it impactful for you? Because you're remembering it. Why was it impactful for your students? Take a few moments, maybe jot some notes about this on a scrap sheet of paper. Prepare to share with a new friend, somebody that you just met or somebody that you haven't had the chance to meet yet. So, since you have thought about these things, I want you to turn and talk with that new friend, and I want you to identify any commonalities that your two experiences, or four, if you decide to share both, what commonalities do they share? And then between the two of you, or maybe three, if we're an odd number, I want you to prepare to share out what those commonalities are. I'm going to take a few seconds and let you do that. Okay, now since this is a pre-recording, I don't actually have any live data. But if you are using that tiny URL at the bottom of my screen, you can access these slides, and you should see 2 slides from each day. So that's a total of 16 slides where we kind of took some notes about these commonalities among participants. Hopefully there's some really good stuff that matches what you have written down or what you thought about or what you collaboratively decided with your partner. So if that's the case, great. I really hope that some of those commonalities might be listed on this slide. Hopefully those commonalities were that these activities are constructivist, where you build knowledge. They might have been project-based, where the learning was embedded in a real-life, legitimate activity. And likely, if they were either of the two previous ones, they were definitely cross-curricular. But if they weren't, we're going to pretend they were because that's the core of my presentation. So let's talk some barriers to implementing constructivist or project-based or cross-curricular lessons. So some obstacles could be, and this is some that I've frequently heard when talking with others, is that if you do project-based learning, you got to finish the project for it to be good and for good learning to happen. I was recently at an ISTE presentation where the presenter emphasized the fact that learning does not have to be completed, nor does it have to actually be, the project doesn't actually have to be successful, and that we learn more from our failures occasionally than we do from our successes. So, not necessarily a focus on a finished product. Constructivist or project-based learning does not have to be in a group for it to work. That's another misconception. If you're doing project-based learning, we have to be in partners, we have to be in a triad, quads, whatever your organization might be, but that's not the case. I've done some really good project-based learning activities in my classroom where it was independent work and it was application of some skills and strategies that we learned. The next obstacle might be the thought that students won't perform as well on the test on a EOC or EOG because of this project-based or constructivist cross-curricular learning. And that is also patently false. And I can't claim this without some research to back it up. So in the slide notes, if you want to go look, I have research that shows student performance is improving in 6 through 12 reading and math based off of PBL cross-curricular constructivist learning. Also 6 through 8 math and science. Also just in general, overall elementary school students when they're learning coding, as well as for low achieving students and Hispanic students, those particular groups found exceptional success in study letter D. And the last obstacle, the one that we're really going to hone in on today, is that designing good activities takes too much time. And we're just going to go ahead and mark that problem solved. So from my time in high school, I found that even the top students struggle connecting topics or subjects because that's not how we, quote unquote, do school. And I want to take a futurist lens and adjust our thinking where we can't afford to keep students and their learning siloed. The future is cross-curricular. We're seeing that more and more and more, where we have to do some science with our art, or some art with our science, some biology with our math, because that just makes sense. So today's learning will really focus in on how to implement, how to design, how to create these cross-curricular activities, lessons, so on and so forth. So time is something that nobody seems to have enough of, and we are going to reap more time than we sow. And the way we're going to do that is with everybody's new favorite friend, AI. So we're going to partner with AI, and we are going to learn how to do so step by step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask that we work through a simple prompt, upgrading this prompt using the craft model from Vera Cabrero, NCDPI's AI guidelines. And we're going to start with this really simple, I need a lesson plan. And we're going to use this craft model where we add context, role, audience, format, and task and tone. I hope you can't wait. But I do need you to wait, because I think we should start small. A whole lesson plan is a big thing to bite off. In teacher prep courses, we didn't start with lesson plans. We started simple. And by doing so, we're not going to have a dumpster fire of an experience, I hope. So what we're going to start with is just upgrading this particular prompt, because you can ask AI, give me 10 problems to practice, and it'll give you 10 problems. They might be science. They might be Spanish. They might be written in Greek, and you have to decipher it. AI doesn't know what you want unless you tell it. So we're going to use the craft model to upgrade this particular prompt. So we're going to add context. Tell the tell the AI that, hey, I am practicing math standard whatever, 4.1. Give it a roll. Since I'm practicing math standard 4.1, I want you, Mr. AI, to be an expert mathematics teacher in 4th grade. But who's my audience? AI, I need you to design this for 4th grade students who are struggling with 3rd grade math concepts. So here we're giving it a little bit more information. What's my format? Do I have a student that I want to target with these questions? Little Johnny's always disconnected, but man, does he love talking about Minecraft. So we're going to do 10 problems to practice math, standard 4.1, for a 4th grader who's behind. And we're going to do it with a flair with this reference to Minecraft. And what's the task and what's the tone? So what do I mean by that? It needs to be 10 word problems, not just 10 problems, because it could give us just numbers on a page. 6 plus 4 equals 10. But that's not what we want. So we want word problems. And we want it to be fun and engaging. And yes, with AI, you do have to tell it, make it fun. And you'll notice a marked difference between the prompt where you say, make it fun, and the prompt where you say, nothing. So here is what we have kind of crafted together. You're probably going to get tired of the word crafted, but I'll use it a lot. So my new prompt, instead of just saying, please make me 10 problems, is you are an expert 4th grade math teacher. Please create 10 word problems to help students practice this NC4OA1 standard, which I also provide for the AI, as you can see below. I want it to use a fun and engaging tone, and I want it to use names and references from the game Minecraft to engage the students. So in whichever AI bot you prefer, you would put these first 2 paragraphs. You would put, hey, this is what you are. This is what I want you to do. And then you would also put that standard, because AI is really good at thinking it knows something without actually knowing what it's talking about. So by providing the specific standard like we've done, we're going to eliminate all of that gray area where it's going to see NC4OA1 and it's going to go grab a standard that has a similar name and maybe mix up what the actual objectives of the standard are. By providing it the actual text, we remove all of that gray area. So with your same buddy, I want you to go through this, and I want you to look at the craft model on the right, and I want you to identify where each of those pieces of the craft model appear. Go ahead and pause if you would like to, if you're watching this recording. And when you're ready, unpause. So what we can see here is that I've identified with these same colors that are used on the right in the graphic, I've identified them in the text with those same color highlights. So you see the role is the expert 4th grade math teacher. The context is helping a student practice NCOA 1. The audience, 4th grade math. The format is the names and references from the game Minecraft. And the task and tone, fun and engaging tone, create 10 word problems. So you can see where each of those pieces of the craft model are used in that prompt. Now, I will admit, I am not the best user of AI, and sometimes I'll just go and I'll type a really simple request and get a really simple response that is nowhere near what I wanted to get. And I have to learn myself to use this model more reliably and ahead of time, because a lot of times I'll see that the response I get from AI is directly proportional to the amount of time I use or the amount of time that I spend putting in these 5 pieces: context, role, audience, format, task, and tone. And a lot of times I'll have to say, no, that's not quite what I meant, dude, talking to the AI, because you didn't have it for 4th grade students. Had I taken the time to put that in the beginning, I wouldn't have to correct it, and the result would be more honed in from the start. So hopefully that was helpful. And you can see at the bottom, this is an actual prompt that was run through ChatGPT in this instance. And there's the transcript of what we got. So you can go and look at that, take a peek, and it's pretty impressive. I'm not going to pull it up now. You can do that on your own. So we're going to take it a step further. We've done our 10 word problems, and we've made them the math, Minecraft-focused word problems. You remember that write a lesson plan? We're going to use the craft model for that upgrade process. So with cross-curricular activities, what I like to do is I like to start with a general overview. Hey, I'm looking to work with 5th grade math, science, ELA, and social studies teachers. And we are focusing on these standards. Copy paste the standards in. Give me a pitch where I propose a cross-curricular unit that would address all of these standards. And it might spit out something, and I look over it and I'm like, no, I know our kids, and that's not going to fly. That's not interesting. You can definitely say, hey, I really like how you did this integration of the standards, but I need a different topic. And if AI seems to get stuck on something, you can tell the tool, please don't give me any more answers that include whatever it is that you don't want. Or you can have it completely regenerate an answer, or you can start a new chat. Make it forget everything that you told it, start from scratch with that good prompt that you've developed. So I need a lesson plan. We're going to add the C for context. So we want it to be a cross-curricular lesson plan. We want it to meet the primary objective, the overarching learning goal. We need to have it meet the following standards, and we're going to list those. Again, we're going to give all of that information in one prompt. And then, of course, you tell the AI what the students will have access to. They'll have access to the internet. They'll have access to, if it's a makerspace activity, these things in the makerspace. So there we've added our context, because we know where we work and the kids know where we are working and learning, but AI, it knows nothing. So I need a lesson plan. We're going to add the R, the role. You are an expert 5th grade math, science, social studies, English language arts teacher team. Or if you really want it focused on what your work is going to do as the math teacher or the science teacher or the social studies teacher, you're an expert 5th grade science teacher. The activity, again, must be designed to align with the following standards. That's also part of the role. So as the teacher, you're meeting these standards. So it can be context and it can be role. And some of these qualify for more than one piece of the craft model, but they're really important information to include. Add the A, add the audience. I want this geared towards beginning teachers who are just beginning to learn their craft. I know we have a lot of lateral entry, alternative licensure, global fellows, emergency licensure, you name it, not teachers who have gone through a traditional teacher preparatory program. So having this geared towards beginning teachers, or if your team is stronger, you can have it geared towards average teachers or advanced teachers. So it just depends on who your team is that you're working with. The particular team I was working with were all veteran teachers, except for one. So when I sent this, I put in some notes for that teacher that I personally knew was new to the profession. So now we're going to add the F for format. So it's a cross-curricular, project-based, constructivist, whatever. And are you doing an activity? Are you doing a lesson plan? Are you doing a unit plan? The particular example I've done is a 5-day unit. The proposed timeline, again, is that 5-day duration. And if you tell the chatbot, we need to have a check-in day 2 and the morning of day 4, you can actually get the information that you need out of the chatbot, where it shows, spend 15 minutes checking in with your groups. And then the last thing is the T, the task and the tone. So when designing, we need to provide differentiation, student choice, and feedback. And they need to be explicit description of the opportunities for those. And by saying explicit description, we are now scaffolding those newer, beginning, or unexperienced teachers. So here it is, all in one big prompt. And again, all of the colors are matched to the craft model on the right. And everywhere there's square brackets are places where you can kind of plug in your own information. So add your grade level, add your subject area or areas, add your overarching goal, the knowledge, the standards, and any duration, milestones, and resources that you have. And from that, you're going to get an awesome result. Now, this is a well-crafted, pun intended, prompt for AI. This is one that may not have been exactly what I sent to ChatGPT, because that's which one I used, which AI tool. But it is the culmination of all my little refinements. So you can pause and take a look at that. So here's what some students put together based off of this cross-curricular unit plan. You can see that they had free choice on how they wanted to demonstrate their learning. One group chose to do a presentation. One group chose to do a diorama. Another group did something else, and I can't quite recall because I wasn't actually able to attend this. I facilitated this for the teachers. They did the work and had an amazing result. The kids loved it. So you can see that on our screen. Now, when you want to look through this with a lens of, I was still learning AI. This was done, I think, in December or November of 2023, before a lot of this supporting information and before I really learned how to use AI. So the example that I have, not the best. Didn't use the craft model, but at the end, with a lot of reprompting, with a lot of guidance, with a lot of support, I was able to get the AI tool to give me what I wanted. So it's actually going to link you to a Google Doc, and at the top of the Google Doc should be a comment to the ChatGPT transcript. So if you say to yourself, hey, self, I really need some more prompts. AI for Education, and that link right there at the top has a lot of really amazing prompts that you can use. And then since we're in North Carolina has, and Vera Cabero have done a lot of work with the AI guidelines. In those AI guidelines, there are prompts and prompt examples, but I've also found some other prompts shared by the DPI folks where we have in that bit.ly, that craft prompt edu. Now, all of this work, I want you to share the awesome stuff that you have crafted today. So here is an opportunity for you to do that. If you made a great prompt and you're like, man, I really love this, and I think people are going to really enjoy seeing the prompt and the results, you feel free to share. There's that tiny URL. That QR code is that tiny URL. So you can put in those prompts. share them with me, and what I can do. And the plan currently, once these 2 weeks of NCBOLD are done, once I have a lot of responses, because I know I'm going to have a lot of responses, I will share out in like mid-September, somewhere around there, link to the output, because there's nothing like going to an awesome session like mine, which mine is awesome. Just saying, speak that into existence. And then getting back to school, the craziness of the start of school, and mid-September you were like, man, we did this really cool unit plan thing and I want to share it with some of my teachers. I can't find it. And then boom, you get an email from this awesome presenter who gives you these awesome resources and reminds you of all the cool things that we did. Wouldn't that be great? Well, I appreciate your time. I thank you so much for the work you do day to day. And I really hope this has shown you that AI and the use of AI can multiply your time investment, where you reap way more than you sow. Okie dokie. Thanks for joining. Have a good one.